Hello, right, this is a little sort of update type video, I suppose, for Nina, Tiru and Ants England, sort of in response to listening to their podcast. That was excellent, that was really good, I enjoyed that. I felt like I, got to know both of you a lot more and what you do, and you both know what you're on about a lot more than I, do by a long way. I'm no good at this, to be honest. And anyway, this is the setup, I'll just go over this, right. So, the sort of ambient temperature, I suppose it's this one that's not touching the cable, is showing me 21.2 in this house right now. That's the heating might have just gone off, but it's only been on for about 2 hours. Okay, at that temperature I'm getting 25.5 with 2 bits of cable under this outworld and 2 under those 2 test tubes. That's the test tube these came in, and the one behind it is one of those bamboo ones, 18mm, and they moved in straight away. But they usually do, nearly all the ants do, seem to really like it. And obviously they've got a variation in the humidity, but I'll leave the old one in if it's not mouldy, as they're water. That's water. Now this is a theory I've got. Maybe the water I'm using is poisoning my ants. I have reverse osmosis water in this house, 5-stage filtration, so the last stage remineralises the water to make it good drinking water. It's just a theory. I'm hoping somebody might be able to tell me if that's wrong. These are Aventurus ants. These are my favourite ants at the moment. They are brilliant. Complete contrast to the Nikos. That's them guarding the entrance over there. You can see there's usually 2 on guard, unless there's something actually going off in the outworld. Can I zoom on this? Oh, yes, I can. There we are. So that's the guard, and behind that guard, literally within about 10 millimeters, is the queen. Normally that's where she sits as well. In fact, there's the queen, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, that's usually where there's like a big bunch of them, and there's that dirty patch in the middle. I don't know what it is. It's happened right from when they first moved in. I think that might be junk there, down there. I think they've got brood, but I don't mess about. I don't take that cover off. It's stuck on. So I'm not 100% sure. They had brood when they moved in. I've had them about 3 weeks, and I'm taking the super juice out now. I'm giving them for a day or a night. I'm taking out the next day as some advice because of these Nikos. So the reason I'm showing you this setup so much is because it's the same setup as the one behind it, which has got the Nikos in. I haven't got the light on. Normally I have a light on a timer, which could also be a problem because these Aventurus, they like having light. So I have the light come on at 6 o'clock at night and go off at 12 o'clock at night. And they, that's when they're active and they like it. The rest of the time they're like this. You put the light on, they're out doing stuff and they're interested and they like it. But the Nikos are obviously a nighttime ant. I don't know if we're going to see anything here. So the temperature in there is 27.9, but you can see where the probes are, and there's the queen. This is part of the problem. So I mean, she's alive. She's been out there walking around for about 2 days now. I was like, oh no, here we go, because normally this is like death sentence area. There was 3 live workers in there that were in the outworld, which is probably the first time I've ever seen 3 out there, 2 days ago. I don't know if there's still 3 left alive. That stuff in the bottom, vermiculite and stuff like that, it's because 2 weeks ago I put the anti-mite mites in there. I'm not going to try and say the name of them. I put some of them in there, a shake of those in there, because the workers have been dying off sort of 1 or 2 a week for quite a while. Once I put that down, I can't really keep a body count, if you see what I mean. Just can't find him. But there was 3 out there. She looked like she was talking to the worker. It was on the side of the glass, and it was almost as if she was trying to persuade it to come back in. This is 2 days ago. That's my reading of it. I'm no expert on ants, but that was my reading of it. It just looked like that's what she was doing. She's communicating with this worker, and she was the one who was about where she is really well. She was up against the glass, and it was up on the glass. They like to spend time on the glass. Anyway, part of my problem is, so this cable is not touching these tubes. If I can see it from underneath, yeah. I think there's about a 5mm gap there. Maybe around 5mm gap between that tube and those tubes. And the temperature reading is from over here. This one is sticking up in the air a little bit, and it's giving me 25 or whatever. That one is much more grounded and buried on the actual substrate, and it's giving me 27.9. I was aiming for this sort of 27 area, and it does drop down to 24-ish at the coldest part of the night with no heating, or in the day with no heating when it's cold. But that's as low as it goes. Yeah, she's abandoned the brood. She'd moved into the bamboo tube as well. It's exactly the same setup. she's been in that bamboo tube for the last 2-3 weeks. She was the only one who's taken a while to move, actually. She took about a week to get in there. You know, I didn't encourage her in any way. They both covered over like that, and then she was just in it. But obviously those tubes have got that water, and I was talking about, if my water is poisoning them, I don't know. But this queen was nearly dead when I got her. I thought she was dead. I was actually making a video to send to Ants HQ, because she was lying on her side with her head at a funny angle, not moving. It was about 10 minutes of not moving. I think there's a video on here, on the shorts. And she suddenly moved like an antenna. And I was already making the video just to sort of prove that she was dead. I mean, not that there was... Ants HQ had said, don't worry, we'll sort it out. Sometimes that happens. And during that time, she moved an antenna. I was like, oh, okay. And she seemed to pick up, and that was it. It's been all right for about, I don't know, 5 weeks. Apart from the workers dying off one by one. So my theory at the moment is either I'm poisoning with water. I had a feeder in all the time with the Sunburst mainly, and they were drinking a lot of it. I swapped over to this one 2 weeks ago, I think it was, Super Juice. And given the choice, I think they like the Super Juice better. It's much cheaper, and I prefer the Super Juice. But yeah, so after some advice from Ants on a Rock, it was like, take the feeders out, just put them in for a bit, even with Nicobrances, even though lots of places sort of say you must have it all the time. So take it out. It's probably giving them too much, because they're not really interested in protein very much. They hunted some fruit flies, and then the only other protein I can guarantee they've been taking is fruit flies, and I've been killing them in the freezer this last week, giving them twice, I think, in the last 7 days, frozen fruit flies. And but with that substrate, I can't really tell if they've gone. I don't think they've been moving them when they're dead. But when they were alive, it seemed to result in dead workers the next day, guaranteed. Obviously, they've been running around, charging around, and then they seemed to die. So that's why I was given a frozen one. So I've got nothing to lose. I've got a glass chopping board that I've measured it all out. It's going to fit. It won't fit under the outworlds, but it'll fit. Instead of having this spacer made at the bottom of the door, it acts as a spacer, and if I put it underneath the cables, it'll lift the cables up so they're actually touching the tubes. That's my theory. Both of these ants like it hot. I would like this one to be hotter, but I think it might be because the probe's sticking up in the air. That's more like the air temperature than the ground temperature. But these could be a lot colder, I think. The temperature I've got on the cable right now is 31.1. That's just, because I use the cable for lots of different things. The probe actually stuck to the cable, but it doesn't feel particularly warm to me when I put my finger there. Just about make out some warmth. So I don't think that's touching the tubes, doing anything in this weather. Because it's an update, I'll just do this quick. So these are my first colony of Mesobarbarus. They're in the original tube in there, under total blackness, linked up. They've blocked up the tube themselves. I think they've gone into hibernation. I'm sure they have. There's some frozen fruit flies, a bit of this juice stuff. I know they don't really need the juice, but I'll just put it there in case they did. Don't think any of that's been touched. I've not seen a worker for about 3 weeks. 25.6, and it's more constant back there. That tube isn't even on a cable. It's just that the bubble wrap and that cover seem to act as a really good sort of insulating. They have a more constant temperature, I'd say, than all the rest of them. Anyway, I lifted that yesterday for the first time in over 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, just to see if they were alive, and they were alive, all the workers and everything. I'm sure they're hibernating. All this fluctuation in temperature, because that goes down a bit as well. They're hibernating really, or diapause, whatever. They're not doing much. Same at the back there. That one there, I can't lift that one because I sort of nudged the foil off about a week and a half ago. So I got to see her. She was alive, and I didn't want to disturb her again. I've made a heavier cover for it. Yeah, and I made all this setup as a video of me making this, but they're not coming out at all now either. And they've got a protein as well, flies put in, and these have been the ones that have always taken that. Well, both of them have always taken the protein. I've only given it once a week or something. So I've got a gauge in there for the seed pod, 37 and 25, and down the bottom, I've got this in the way now, is the one that's actually in the outworld. Same problem, it's not in the nest. It's 25.5, so it's slightly warmer in the outworld, and 48 in there. Their water's been going down. It's an ant subfeeder. And these are the rubra, doing, I don't know, mixed, I'd say. Very well in there, enclosing. They're still developing workers, new workers coming out now. I should have a better look at that. I haven't looked at it for a good while. Yeah, but in here, look, there's a bit of a this is quite new, because I thought this was a big sign of a die-off before this seemed to happen. I treated these for mites as well. No evidence there was mites, just because they were doing this sort of slow walking around, and I didn't know, so I thought I'd put them in. That was 2 weeks ago or so anyway. I mean, maybe treating the Nikos for mites or treating these has had a detrimental effect. I don't know. They're not fully hibernating by any means, but they've slowed down in the last month. They will take protein, but I'm not feeding very much. I'm not letting them have the juice all the time either. These I've started taking out of there as well. They like that water feeder though. They definitely like that. It's the big size Ant Hoods one. And they seem to go for that straight away. And they still like hanging out in here. This is their original tube. So they obviously like the humidity. But that big tube there, you know, they do change. They change where they want to be, and it's not because it's run out of water. They change depending on the temperature. So there's potentially the same sort of issue going on here where it's not touching the things. So maybe it's hotter where they've gone. I don't know. It gives them a lot of variation in there. I can see that test tube thing staying for a very, very long time. If they ever got to be a big colony, being optimistic. So that's about it at the moment. Things are just going wrong. That's the best way of putting it for the Nikos. I think this breadboard idea and raising that up, I won't do it till people tell me whether they think that's a good idea or not. The breadboard is about sort of 5mm thick, so if I put it under those cables, it would lift them up to be pretty much touching the bottom of that tube, and I think that would be a big help for both of them, because I just think the nest is probably down at whatever this is, 21 or something at the moment. Well, not much more than that. They want to be more than that. That's my theory. Maybe the Nikos are getting too cold. We don't like it. And that's a guaranteed sort of hot spot there. It's got 2 cables underneath it. I'll show you from this side. Maybe that is part of the problem. And if I make the nest more tempting just by raising the teat up so it's touching, they'll go back in and everything could be, you know. Right, she's been alive and moving around. I thought she'd be dead by now, to be honest. This is my general sort of look with Nikos. I've lost a queen before. She acted a bit strange. Yeah. Anyway, that's my little. It's gone for ages. Sorry, it's gone for ages. Any opinions, welcome. Thank you. Bye.